welcome to the program. The one, the only, Matt Bevin is on with us now from the great state of Kentucky, where we are just hot on the heels of a huge win for the Tea Party in Nebraska with Ben Sass. And we are praying and we have faith that the good people of Kentucky will see the errors of their way with Mitch McConnell. And on Tuesday, vote for Matt Bevin. Hello, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing great this morning. Thanks so much for having me back on, Glenn.
We've been talking a lot about Common Core this week because Common Core is when people really understand what's happening, and it's happening quickly as their kids are being forced into these tests. And we're seeing in district after district, the opt-outs are doubling every time there is a test. And now it's, in some areas, growing up to 70% opt-out on these tests for children because it's just destroying our schools. Where do you stand on Common Core?
I'm strongly opposed to it. I believe in moms, not in bureaucrats. The reality is the moms and dads who at the beginning of the process have responsibility for the education of their children are being boxed out by these bureaucracies, and increasingly bureaucracies and decision makers far beyond the communities in which these things are being applied. I think education should not be administered at the federal level. Frankly, I'd love to remove the entire Department of Education. I really would.
So,
we need education, but not from the top down the way we're getting it.
Matt, when you see things like, I don't know if you have had time, because I know you're on the campaign trail all the time, but I don't know if you saw the video of the dad was it Maryland or New Hampshire that was? Yeah,
being Maryland, where he's being arrested and hauled out. That one.
Yeah, and he was he was being quiet about it. He was now. This is the new one. This has happened last week.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, it's another one. I think this one is in New Hampshire. The father was just trying to ask for an opt out because they assigned his 14-year-old daughter something that honestly I can't even read on the air. It's so bad. And they've assigned it to his daughter for a book review, and he said, I don't want my daughter reading this. And he's totally calm, and he wants an opt out. His 2-minute time limit runs out. And he says, well, wait a minute, hang on just a second. I just need an answer from you guys. Can I get an opt-out? They send the cops in, and the cop, he later, it's described as the cop's hands were shaking, and the cop said, I'm sorry, I don't want to do this, but I have to arrest you. And they arrest him and take him to jail.
Unbelievable.
Where are we headed, Matt?
Honestly, what it is, Glenn, it happens every day at the ballot box when people have the opportunity to vote and they don't. We end up with people who do not have our best intentions at heart in charge of things. And then you find a militarization of everything. Does the Department of Education need its own SWAT team? Do they need to militarize and deputize police forces to act on behalf of school boards? Does the Bureau of Land Management need its own tricked-out SWAT team? We're becoming a police state, and we're fiddling while Rome burns. We're watching reality TV till our eyeballs pop out. We can tell you what the Kardashians had for breakfast. We know who's dancing with who, and yet we turn out 16% of people turned out to vote in North Carolina. What in 20 some odd and pretty much everywhere else around the country. Shame on us. We are falling asleep at the wheel, and it is destroying the fabric of this nation. It really is.
So, Matt, as you are going around, and I don't even know if I should even ask you this question because it might be a waste of time because what are you going to tell me? But as you're going around and you're seeing the crowds and you're seeing and feeling it on the ground, what are you sensing? Is it growing? Is it a growing anger? Is it a growing apathy? What's happening?
I tell you, it's some of all the above, but frankly, we are very apathetic as a nation. Certainly, I don't think Kentucky is unique, but there are many people who are frustrated, who think we must do better, something has to change, but they don't feel that it's within their power or responsibility to step up and be that change, and it's disheartening. That said, last night I spoke to a group of 250, 300 people. There was a GOP gathering, and it was frankly one where It was not the most hospitable crowd at the front end, but boy, we moved some people. And there were people that were having Mitch signs pressed into their hands as they were leaving. And I had a guy that was out in the van waiting for me, and he said that this couple came out with a Mitch sign in their hands. They stuck it in the ground. They grabbed the Bevin one, and they quickly ran to their car. And so I'm telling you, the groundswell of hunger for change is there at every turn. I mean, we got a huge ovation from people when I was done speaking, and not because it's brilliant. It's because it's real and it resonates with people. They know they're being fed a bunch of plastic garbage and they're fed up with it, but they need to take responsibility and vote, not only in Kentucky, but every one of these other races in Mississippi and Georgia, all these others that are coming up. I'm begging your listeners, be engaged. Step up and own this government, because you do own this government.
Yeah, I heard you give a speech when I was in Kentucky, and you said you were talking about that this is we don't want our government, what was it? Something about we're not changing we're not the ones that are changing the party. This is our party.
Right.
This is they've changed. You know, the Mitch McConnells of the world have gone in, and they have been the ones who have drifted. We're the ones who are standing fast on the founding documents. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is true, but we've got, again, it's a function of whether we then vote and act on that privilege we have at the ballot box. Because you're right, the system has been hijacked. It is no longer right now of and by and for the people, because we the people are largely abdicating that right and responsibility. It's of and by and for a handful. And that handful do not have America's best interest at heart. And the career politicians in both parties are destroying the fabric of this nation. They are. One thread at a time, they are shredding this fabric that we know as the United States of America. And we are no longer one nation under God, indivisible. We are becoming fragmented, and we have a limited window of opportunity to step up in a substantive way and do something about it. And I'm begging people in Kentucky, but everywhere in America, turn out and vote, be informed, know who you're voting for, vote for the change that we know we need in this country.
Just asking Stu before we end the segment to give us some of because it's not just Matt Bevin in Kentucky. There are several races that are happening on Tuesday that you need to know about. Mitch, this is the last time probably we get to talk before the...
Don't call him Mitch, please, ever.
I'm sorry, not Mitch. Jeez, for love, Pete.
I mean, poor Matt.
Matt, this will probably be the... Oof.
We're so sorry, Matt.
You know what? I had to use the word Mitch because I will never have anybody on this program named Mitch.
I used to have such respect for you, Glenn. I loved you, man.
I know. I'm sorry.
I don't know what happened there. I'm not feeling the love anymore.
You know, it's really funny because I used to have real respect for Mitch McConnell. I really did. I thought Mitch McConnell was one of the good guys years ago. I thought he was one of the good guys. And I don't think people understand, and I'm not asking you for a comment on this, but I don't think people understand how bad of a guy Mitch McConnell, and quite honestly, the other one that has really shocked me, Orrin Hatch, how bad of guys these guys really are. They have been there for so long. You know, Orrin Hatch said at one point, I've never met a man who has gone to Washington and left there a better man. And yet he's been there the whole time and hasn't recognized the drift on him. And it's hard. You get there, and if you're there too long, it just wears you down until you're just part of the system. And it's really dangerous.
Term limits is what we need, I'm telling you, because it will happen to any man. There's nobody who goes to that town and doesn't change. He's right. And yet those who change don't recognize it in themselves. We need congressional level term limits. What
is the difference between your crowds and Mitch McConnell's crowds? I mean, I can't imagine being passionate about Mitch McConnell.
There is no passion for him whatsoever. There were people at this event trying to hand out bumper stickers and things for him. Nobody would take them. Nobody. I saw about 4 people out of 300 took one. and I stand at the door when people are leaving and work the crowd too. What we have, you go around this state, you will see 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 signs for every Mitch McConnell sign, probably 20 in some communities for our campaign. We have the passion. We have the grassroots. You know, people can learn more. I mean, I know there's 4 days, but I really would encourage them, go to mattbevin.com. I'd appreciate it because this matters. Get informed, know the issues, see the differences between Mitch and I. We have the enthusiasm, but whether or not we can overcome the apathy, that's going to be our obstacle. People need to get engaged. Come knock on doors, make phone calls, get out there, talk to your friends. Kentucky, you've got a chance for the first time in 30 years. We've got a chance, and we need to remove some of these crusty curmudgeons. We really do. These people who are destroying the soul of the U.S. Senate, we've got to remove them from office.
It's truly amazing to me how Mitch McConnell just a few years ago used to say, "Oh, I identify with the Tea Party," and now he is set to destroy the Tea Party. And it's not because the Tea Party, anything they've done, except the Tea Party, as always. Anyone who has marched with 9/12 or me or a Tea Party, we always have said, we're not the voice of the GOP. We've got our problems with the GOP. George Bush helped start this whole nightmare with the bailouts. That's when many of us woke up, not because of Barack Obama, but right. The GOP thought they could use us. And now to see that Mitch McConnell is standing against so much, it really goes to show you who he really is.
Well, it's about power over principle. It really is. But I'll tell you, I challenge your listeners. America is great, and we will not stay great if people don't take ownership. I'm just begging people, be engaged, step out there, make sure you're voting in an informed fashion, because this is the greatest nation on earth. And if the American people lose this noble experiment, if we lose the control of our government, which is quickly happening, then we have lost, and the world has lost, the last great beacon of hope. We cannot allow this to happen on our watch. We cannot.
Matt, I really truly believe that you are the closest thing to a founder I have found in any candidate, with the possible exception of Mike Lee. Ted Cruz is remarkable. I think Rand Paul is remarkable. But the spirit of the founders is truly alive in you, and I wish you all the best, and we will be praying for you in the Beck household.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all the support and the encouragement that you have provided to us, the enthusiasm that you have infused in our campaign. I'm grateful for your prayers. I'm grateful for the support. And again, we've got 4 days to make it happen, and may God bless America.
Thank you very much, Matt. We'll talk to you. We'll talk to you next week. It's mattbevin.com. By the way, endorsed by FreedomWorks, endorsed by Kentuckians Against Common Core. Heidi Huber, who heads up Ohioans Against Common Core, also big with Matt Bevin. This is an important one. This is a game-changing election. And that's why the GOP has spent so much time and so much money trying to dismantle this guy, because this one is truly game-changing. MattBevin.com. Keep him in your prayers this weekend. It's something that can still happen. Last poll I saw was he was down, 19 points?
There's 7. He was, I think, within 17 in one of the polls.
Okay, 17 points. That was a few weeks ago. There's a new poll coming out, I guess, tonight. That kind of seems to me like it should be good for Bevin, because why wouldn't you put that in the paper in the morning? The paper is the one who did it. Why would it be released at night, on a Friday night? I have a feeling that's probably going to be a good poll for Matt Bevin. And remember, the last poll taken when Mitch McConnell did this in Kentucky, Mitch McConnell was down by 20 points the week before. 20 points he was down, and he won. Kentuckians are a different kind of people. If you just get out and vote, you can make a world of difference on Tuesday. Where else are people voting Tuesday?
You've got Kentucky, Idaho, Georgia, Arkansas. We had Brian Smith on from Idaho, a congressman, or going to try to be a congressman in Idaho. Barry Loudermilk we had on as well in his race.
All these guys are good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them.
When's Mississippi?
Mississippi's coming up June 3rd.
June 3rd.
June 24th is Dan Bongino in Maryland, which we have high hopes for. He'd be great. June 3rd, Igor Berman we've had on.
He'd be great.
In California.
These guys are all good.
Yeah.
So anyway, that happens next Tuesday. Make sure you get out and vote.